joining me. In studio is Manawatū Māori Ward councillor Bridget Bell. Bridget, tēnā koe.
Tēnā koe.
No mai. Very good to have you on the program with us now. Why did the Manawatū Council vote to keep its Māori ward, do you think?
Manawatū District Council strongly feel that all wards should have been treated the same, and that has been the message that our mayor and all our councillors and tangata tiriti allies have said consistently. I think there's a gradient here in my council where some are supportive of a referendum as long as everyone goes through a referendum. Others in my council, tangata tiriti allies, feel strongly we shouldn't have to go through a referendum. And overall, I think in the last 2 years, if you look at Manawatū District Council's trajectory from a council that was really against Māori wards at the start, and now they're in a place where it was 11-1 at a vote, you can see the shift. It's no longer the threat that it once posed it to be.
11-1
11-1
is a massive vote of endorsement.
Absolutely.
And support. Why do you think there was that support? Do you think that was because of the work you individually was doing, or because of the voices of the people that you represented that was able to be brought to the council itself?
Before the vote, we had what we call a long-term plan hearing, and there was the first time all our councillors got to see all of our marae, Manawatu, the kura and Māori entities come in, and they all strongly said to keep our Māori ward. And I think for the first time our council got to hear those voices and recognise the impact that it will have for them if we were to disestablish it. So I believe it's the work of the collective, but I don't want to acknowledge our iwi. We had tangata tiriti, we had Pākehā and Tauiwi that came into our council instructing us to keep it because it was important for them.
And as you said, it wasn't just Māori.
It wasn't just Māori.
Did it surprise you that so many tangata tiriti came out in support?
Absolutely. I found it quite emotional because I remember when I first came into council, Julian, there was an allergic reaction from the community, especially when I was campaigning. There were times that I had to pull out of the campaign for my own safety. So for it to then have this growth in just 2 years' time where we had community members who felt so strongly that this was the right thing to do for Manawatu was amazing to see and hear. And now I feel confident that we're going to have a different outcome next year.
What does a Māori ward councillor bring to the table that, but for that representation, would otherwise be different and therefore lead to a lack of outcomes, perhaps, for the community as a whole? What are people saying to you that you bring and that a Māori ward councillor brings to the table?
I think let's just reflect on something here, the difference between a general ward where a Māori sits in that seat and a Māori ward. The Māori ward has the mandate and the mana from your Māori constituents to sit there, and so you have the voice. You're able to, there is an expectation that you can weave the voices of your constituents, mana whenua, matawaka, into that space. And I think particularly here, if I was to contextualise it for Manawatū District Council, it was definitely needed. There was a breakdown in our relationship between iwi and council, and there has been a journey of healing. We've still got some room to grow, but it's definitely a massive improvement to what it was.
What are we talking about here? We're talking about ways in which having that representation has meant that you've been able to isolate issues and determine issues better within the community, so it saves things like environment court processes or things like that happening. Absolutely.
In Manawatū District, we have a resource consent that's about to expire in 2 years' time, which is a wastewater discharge into the Aotearoa local river. And over 8 years ago, we ended up in an environmental court, and that's not a place that we want to be. And I think having a Māori ward in there, not to be the buffer, but to interpret for iwi and council what our priorities are, and actually recognise we all want the same thing. We all want a healthy river. We've just got different ways in how to get there.
And I don't mean to be so crude, but in doing so, you also end up saving the council money.
Oh, absolutely.
By curbing that process of going to environment court. I mean, we're talking what?
Millions. 3 million
Really?
Is what it cost ratepayers for when they decided to take it to the environmental court. And obviously on the iwi side, we didn't have those resources. We both lost. Our council wanted 30 years discharge. We wanted 0. We ended with 10.
So you end up with solutions that actually provide benefit for the community.
Absolutely.
Okay. The referendum. Why shouldn't people within the Manawatū district have a say on whether or not there should be a Māori ward for the Manawatū District Council, in your view?
I think when I look back to, again, equity, sure, everyone should have a say, but why are we only having a say on the Māori ward? The 5 general urban wards, no one's having a say. The 5 rural wards in Manawatu, no one's having a say. It's only mine that's up for debate on the value that it brings, the lonely seat that sits in council. And I think that is the brutality of what the referendum brings. It's so divisive. And Manawatu have come a long way from the division that we once had when we marched over 3 years ago.
Do you think, and judging by the representations both of Māori and tangata tiriti when talking about the Māori Ward on the Manawatū District Council, what do you think will happen when that referendum is held next year? What will the voices of the people say, do you think, Bridget?
My hope is, and I want to reflect back to our late kingi, kotahitanga. That's what I hope for. That's what I'm manifesting, that we can come together and we can fight to save this ward.
If Prime Minister and Ministers, Cabinet, Government are watching us tonight, what do you say to them?
I say create a relationship with local government that's embedded in trust. You're creating a referendum that's going to cost councils money, a waste of money. You're also accelerating racism and causing division in our communities that we have to pay the price for. Communities and councils have to pay for the price for the referendum that they are imposing. What I will also say to our Prime Minister is that you believe in Māori voice, hence why you have Māori electorates in central government. Te Tai Hauaru, Manawatu is one of them. If you believe in them so much there, why don't you believe in it here? What is the difference?
Bridget, tēnā koe. I whai wahi mai koe kia matu, ngā mihi nui kia koe.
Tēnā koe te te ngāngi.
Kia ora maira.